Hey,
Like it to be confetti or something in the air. Oh, we throwing something.
yeah.
Welcome into the championship edition of the Red Hour. It took the Chiefs 16 wins to get to 55. Talking about Super Bowl 55. They are now two teams standing, and we'll talk about all of that as we get ready to head down to Tampa, Florida. But first, let's introduce the crew. Captain Radio himself, cousin Darren down there. Darren Smith, what's up, yo?
Not much. You can call me Nostradamus tonight, but other than that, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I
We
predicted
can't
this.
call you. We can't
I,
call
pre-
you
I
that.
predicted this Super Bowl
We
matchup.
can't.
That much I do know.
You also predicted 19-0. So just
That
because
negates
they
everything.
did
Hey,
win and they're in the Super Bowl, that negates
hey,
everything. So
call it what you
no.
want. I know one thing. I didn't. Hey, I didn't pick the New Orleans Saints getting to the Super Bowl. That much I didn't do. Oh, that would be Mr. W right there,
You've
right
been
up there.
yeah, you've been talking about that since yesterday. Chill out.
When you're right,
Now
you're right.
to
I can't help it.
Captain. I guess his part is a little bit straighter today because the red team went in and he's been talking smack because, of course, his conspiracy theory leads to Tampa. Talking about none other than the infamous DJQ.
Of course, you already know what it is. It wouldn't have legs if you wouldn't keep bringing it up. Yeah.
Oh, you sound like somebody who just moved to Florida. Okay, and of course,
Yeah.
nephew
Yeah.
up in the upper corner alongside me, uh, Professor Wall Street himself, Steve Walls. Nephew, how you doing?
Better than Trey Songz, I tell you that. But I'm good.
Yes, there were several stories out of Arrowhead Stadium yesterday, and that's probably why Q's part is so straight today. He went to bail his boy out, and it's all good in the world of DJ Q today. Uh, Talking about Super Bowl 55, the Chiefs beat up on the Bills yesterday. It wasn't as good a game as folks thought it would be, or maybe it was. There were glimpses of light for Josh Allen and the Bills, or it looked like they might have exposed what they needed to expose in order to put some more points on the board, and they started scoring again. And then it shut down just as fast as they started to light it up. Josh Allen, 28 for 48 yesterday, 287 yards, two touchdowns, and one interception. We shut down the rushing game so tough. They had no rushing touchdowns yesterday. Josh Allen himself 7 carries, 88 yards. Devin Singletary, 7 carries, 88 yards. But more importantly, we shut down Teflon Diggs. 6 catches, 77 yards. Cole Beasley, 7 catches, 88 yards. Neither one of them made it to the end zone. Dawson Knox scored one touchdown, and Isaiah McKenzie scored a touchdown. And the Bills racked up 24 points. Let's talk about this game yesterday, Darren. Did the Chiefs, who finally scored more than 25 points, did they score enough points to prove that they deserve that win for you yesterday?
Yeah, going into the game, and Steve can attest. I had the Chiefs winning by 14 points. I had them winning 31-17, so they ended up obviously winning by 14, but it was 38-24. Uh, I thought they looked good. I did not think that the game was going to be close. I felt that Kansas City to show one that Patrick was back healthy, that they were going to put points up on the board, and knowing the situation and what this game meant, and trying to win the Lamar Hunt for Clark Hunt and then get into Super Bowl. I figured that this would be the game where the Chiefs would leave no doubt and would show that they were the much more superior team.
All right, that means we have to go right to DJ Q, Captain Conspiracy Theorist, who immediately after Patrick Mahomes wobbled to the sideline in one of the blue tent and then ran through the tunnel to get listed on concussion protocol. Patrick Mahomes yesterday, 29 attempts, 29 to 38 in the air, 325 yards, three touchdowns. Darrell Williams, a touchdown. McCole Hartman, 1 for 50. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 6 for 7 with a touchdown. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, again, proved to be exactly who we thought they were, both getting over 100 yards yesterday. And McCole Hardman, who had a rough day yesterday, actually did make it into the end zone, and we'll talk about that too. But you were not surprised at all to see Patrick Mahomes as the starting quarterback as the week came to a close, and we found out Friday that he cleared all concussion protocol, because you absolutely said it was a setup from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean the concussion protocol is a minimum of what was it 9 days? I think it's 9 days before you could even start getting towards testing to get out of it. Like there's a
I
certain
don't know
cap.
if they
No,
have a
it's
date
not
set on
9
it. I
days.
It
thought you just
They
had
don't
to
have
it,
miss
a,
those
it
five.
was
they don't have a set date. They don't have a
No,
set
they
number of
don't.
days for you.
They don't.
well I'm saying from the beginning that's what it was. From the beginning it was like a 9-day thing, and then now it's just whenever they can clear protocol. So it's good to see the Chiefs being able to celebrate from the conspiracies that they always placed on like Tom Brady and the Patriots. So it's good to see that. But yesterday I really enjoyed seeing how they kept McCole in the game. I think that was a key piece to the game that I won't say it got overlooked, but I think that was just a key piece to the game, just to show how much of a team that they are, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Because him that costly turnover early, and then him just to even for Eric Bieniemy to call his number multiple times in that game, like that was huge to me, and especially in my eyes.
Now, nephew, the defense yesterday stepped up big time and shutting down the run like they did, but shutting down Stephon Diggs was a huge element because they
Yeah.
just knew that they'd be able to throw all over the field because that combination of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs has ruled the NFL for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, they did, and I commend defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, because what he did yesterday, and he's been doing this for. If you look at his defenses like last year, they just get better gradually, and I think that's what they did this year, and he's drawn up some different things to keep the opposing offense guessing, and they threw so many guys at Stephon Diggs to where he kept them fresh. He didn't just put one guy
Definitely.
on him, mirroring that. Because a lot of the defensive coordinators, what they'll do is say, all right, you got this guy, and they make it a pride thing. It's like, all right, you make sure you shut him down all game. And Bill Belichick is one of those guys who'll put one guy or on a receiver and make sure that he shuts him down. And Steve Spagnuolo, he threw Travarius Ward at him. You saw L'Jarius Sneed go at him. And when he lined up on Daniel Sorensen, and Bashard Breeland even had him a couple of times where he did the wrestling move on him. So when you look at it and from a bigger picture, I think Steve Spagnuolo has these guys ready to play. And we talked about it last week, and I know I've said it earlier this past week as well, that Steve has given them the keys. It's like, all right, just go out there and play ball. You guys know the scheme. You know what we need to do. I'm going to not make it so much about X's and O's. I'm going to, give you guys the keys and let you go out there and play and be yourselves.
And they turned the secondary into a sea of nothingness for the Bills yesterday with Sneed and the Honey Badger just roaming through there, and just it was ridiculous just to watch him, to see how much time he had, and then to see the pressure shut him down. And Josh Allen, Q has talked about this a few times. He said that all the hype that NFL has given this guy, trying to make him the next be-all, which they did the year before to Lamar James. And they always do one of the young quarterbacks that's coming up along with Patrick to try to shine a light on him, and then they always get exposed because Josh Allen, for some reason, likes to hold on to that ball when he's going back in the pocket, and next thing you know, he's getting sacked for like 15, 20 yards because he refuses to let go of that ball and throw it out. And Q, you said that. You said these quarterbacks come in there that are in Patrick Mahomes' generation, and they get that little brother syndrome because they try to take on Big Brother, and they just can't handle the responsibility.
Yeah, and I'm Patrick even last year had shown that he was I wouldn't say head and shoulders above Lamar Jackson, but he's definitely at this point now. He's head and shoulders above him. But Josh Allen is not that, and of course, since his rookie year coming into the league, he had a lot of bumps in that, but with his progression, it's not as high as they hype him up to be. And I think he's just one of those guys that they want him to be almost the Tom Brady to like a Peyton Manning type of dynamic between him and Patrick, and it's just not going to happen. It's like trying to find a rival for Serena Williams. Like Serena, they tried to make so many different rivals of hers, and I think the closest one, it was like she had only 2 wins to 19 against Serena. It was something crazy, and it's like how do you even put these two on the same pedestal? Like. And then the graphic that came out on ESPN, I don't know if that was a troll graphic. I never confirmed that graphic where it said the Bills were better at quarterback.
I saw it real time.
Yeah.
So
that was real. Okay. I had only saw it on Twitter, so I didn't know if it was real. So, but even to say that, like, how do you say, and you guys know I'm not a Chiefs fan, but in real life, like, how do you say a Super Bowl MVP and a former league MVP is not better than a guy that just got on the team that finally has more than 10 wins? Like,
well, I think the situation with that Q was just they didn't. I'm presuming that they didn't know the actual health of Patrick Mahomes when they initially did that, to whether he had a concussion, a turf toe, and Josh Allen coming healthy. But I do want to push back on your point on Josh Allen, the fact that. From his rookie year to now, his third year, he has progressed. He threw 10 touchdowns his first year. He threw 20 last year. He threw, I think, 36 or 38 this year. So it's not a matter of him being compared. It's just a matter of his progression and the fact that this year, with the addition of Stephon Diggs, he took that next step. I mean, you can't.
He took another step. Yes.
So I mean, you can't say that he's not at an elite level. Look, Patrick is in a class of itself. But Patrick.
That's what I'm saying.
But to the point, I mean,
I'm
Patrick can't play against
you a little bit because that's not what the NFL pundits were saying all week. All week long, the NFL pundits were saying that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, there's no way Patrick Mahomes and whatever weapons he has can compare to what this guy has been doing in the last 6 weeks in the NFL leading up this game and this moment. That's what they were saying. They weren't talking about Patrick's torso. They weren't talking about his concussion. They were just talking about the last 6 weeks. Patrick Mahomes barely won these games, just like you were saying.
Yeah. No, I think my point is that yes, he's gotten better. Like he's definitely obviously taken steps up, but who should have been talked about turning that offense around is Stephon Diggs. And for some reason, the NFL.
Well, they work hand in hand together, though. I mean, because Stephon Diggs, he didn't want to. Remember, he was in Minnesota. He didn't like sharing the ball. So now you got a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. That's how he led the league in receiving and touchdowns. So it went hand in hand. It wasn't just like Josh Allen made him or Stephon Diggs made the other. They worked hand in hand together.
But I'm saying the person that is responsible for that, if we're going to lay claim on that and try to compare him to someone on the other side of the ball, then it needed to be Stephon Diggs. And it is not Josh Allen. And we saw that by far. And we've seen it twice this season that, no, he does not belong in this conversation. So if we want to compare, let's compare Tyreek and Stephon Diggs. Let's compare their numbers. I would rather that than trying to put Josh Allen next to Patrick Mahomes.
Two different players.
Please stop it. But still, I'm saying let's compare something else other than this asinine comparison. Like, please get out of my face with that.
So let's talk about the other championship game for a second. The NFC Championship, which was, I don't even know what to say. The MVP talk for Aaron Rodgers has been going on all season long, and for the last few weeks, I know on Good Morning Football, they were saying that if you just look at Aaron Rodgers, he's having fun. He's smiling. He looks like an Aaron Rodgers we haven't seen in quite a long time. I don't know if anyone noticed, but yesterday, that smile was gone before the game even started. So I don't know if they went into it like, yeah, you know what? I don't even want to play in the Super Bowl. Let's just go ahead and get this game over with. And that's exactly how they played. Aaron Rodgers was 33 for 48, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. On the other side, Tom Brady was 20 for 36 for 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. The Bucks tried to give this game to the Green Bay Packers every chance they could, and the Packers just refused to do what they needed to do. And then we won't talk about the 2 plays where Aaron Rodgers could have ran into the end zone for 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
We won't talk about the horrible play calling, the clock management. It was just all so bad. Nephew, when you saw what was happening, what was going through your head?
I'm sitting on my couch and I'm like, everybody in my house, I'm like, run, Aaron, run! Like I'm really cheering for the Packers. I'm
Steve,
like,
hold on. Steve, I thought you weren't watching the game, Steve.
Hold on.
I thought you weren't watching the game, Steve.
I'm about to put Darren in timeout. All right. So yeah, what I was saying was it is parted like the Red Sea. I mean, because you saw all that green grass twice, and then for them to call a field goal kick on a 4th down,
like 4th and 2 or 3. Yeah, like it's something crazy.
6-2, whatever. You're gonna give Tom Brady the ball back with 2 minutes left. You just don't do. That's not what you do. And here's the thing about it: you had to score a touchdown either way. Like you whether you score it there, even if you don't make it, you still have to come back and score. You still have to score a touchdown. So why not go for it? I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. It's not like you're out there, you're running around out there with nobody. It is Aaron Rodgers. He's been successful throwing to Devontae Adams. You have to have some kind of play drawn up in that situation. And that's one thing I like about Andy Reid. No matter what situation that he's in, he has a play for it. And you mean to tell me you're going to kick a field goal? And Aaron Rodgers' comments after the game was like, hey, it wasn't my call. It wasn't my call. And I'm like, that just lets me know that he really wanted to go for it. And what he said was that he called the play before that. And that play that he called, had he known that they were going to kick a field goal, he would have changed the play. Yeah. So, that just kind of had me scratching my head. And I'm like, I don't want to win. Because there's no way.
You don't let – because Tom Brady doesn't do it often. He gave you 3 balls.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it. The team that has turned in these playoffs this year, the team that has turned the ball over the most, they have lost the game. And with Tom Brady throwing those interceptions, I'm like, man, hey, he don't want to win this game because Tom Brady really, and Darren, you can be honest, Tom Brady didn't play his best game yesterday. He really didn't. But the fact that the Green Bay Packers
were passes to the opposition. They weren't even interceptions. He threw them to them.
Yeah, it was one where he was just throwing a balloon up there. I'm like, oh, that's Tom Brady out there? No. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Tom Brady I know. That's Tom. Yeah, that's him.
No, that's the Tom Brady is normally stepping on your neck, Steve.
That was the time when he threw that balloon in there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tom. That's the time I've been talking about all season. Yeah. And I'm waiting on the comments to start rolling through because that's the time that I know, and that's the time that y'all have seen me talk about all season. So don't come with that today, but it's all good. The
time I know is the time that advanced to the Super Bowl yesterday.
Exactly.
At the beginning of the season.
Exactly.
Hold on, but Steve, since you asked me to respond to what you said earlier, look, when I posted what I posted earlier in the group chat and then of course online. Trust me. Which one?
What did you post?
Where are you talking about, in the group chat or online?
Family business on to the show.
It doesn't matter. I didn't see it.
Well, basically, it was calling Steve, Sterling, Todd Lebo, Sports Radio 810, calling everybody out as I showed my prediction back in April about the Super Bowl matchup and AB and all this stuff. But I say all that to say that was before Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions. And I was sitting there thinking like, damn, the last thing I need is Steve's gonna come on the show tomorrow bragging about blah 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 blah. But that was like, but for somebody who said, who says that they didn't see it, I know he saw it because he was gonna bring it up tomorrow or bring it up tonight. So I say that to say that in all seriousness, when he was throwing interceptions, it was baffling me because I'm like, you already got a 2-score lead and you're doing well moving the ball down the field. Why are you trying to go? Why are you trying to go for the bombs when you can methodically continue to go down the field and still get the same end result But instead, you're throwing the ball. Now you're turning the ball over. And fortunately for the defense, and Steve knows because we talked about it, I said that, that defense has to mirror what they did against New Orleans Saints. I didn't think they would get 3 interceptions against Rodgers, but I thought they could get enough pressure, hit him, force him into mistakes, and maybe get some 3 and outs to where Brady and them would have good field position, be able to march down the field and score, which was what they were able to do. And the fact that the Bucs were able to score first and kind of maintain the lead like that, I think that worked in their favor versus them coming from behind. They got the chance to get the ball first, jumped out on top, and then you forced Green Bay to play catch up the rest of the evening. But I didn't get a chance to see the end of it because I was headed because I ended up going to the AFC game. But knowing how it ended up playing out and the fact that I do question the play calling, but in all seriousness, Aaron Rodgers got to make that. He's got to run for the first down or the touchdown when it's 3rd and 8. So trying to put it off on whether or not it was 4th down or not. I mean, no, you had the opportunity to do something and you didn't do it. Now you're trying to throw the head coach underneath the bus because of the field goal. Well, look, if you run, you either score the touchdown, you get closer to it, where obviously the obvious call of going for the touchdown, that's a no-brainer. But because you didn't make the right decision on 3rd down, you want to throw the coach under the bus because he went for a field goal. And like she said, you were going to have to go for a touchdown either way. I think the problem was that had they scored because they kept missing the 2-point conversion, I think, I think that weighed into the mind of the coach as well.
Yeah. And
it makes me mad because Tampa Bay clearly gave them the Rodgers rate 3 times and they refused to cash in on it.
Yeah, again, and look, like I said, Tom Brady played great in the first half because he ended up with that touchdown at the end of the half. The second half, again, I'm questioning as to why you're trying to force those that you don't have to make because you already got a 2-score lead. You can get a 3-4 score lead just by methodically milking the clock, going down, and then scoring, within the red zone. But you going bombs over Baghdad wasn't necessary and almost cost you the game. But fortunately, it didn't, and it made me look like a genius. So I'm fine either way.
And the thing too was that you saw Aaron Rodgers. He went to Devontae Adams. He went to him 3 times in a row. I get it. You feel like he's better than who's guarding him. So no matter what you do, he's going to beat the defensive guy. But at some point, it's like, man, you got to figure out a different play to run to that way. And I don't know if it's because he's like, all right, well, if Devontae Adams is not going to get it, and I'm not going to get it to him, nobody else is going to be able to get it, right? But
the Bucs were without their 2. They were without their starting safety to start the game, Winfield, and then they lost their second. So I mean, I can understand because he is your best player, and he does give you the best chance to it. I know Lazard and the tight end, were factors as well, but. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, obviously I'm trying to ride with Devontae Adams because outside of Tyreek, outside of Kelsey, outside of Stephon Diggs, he's been that guy. So
yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I don't really fault him going to that receiver because he is your best playmaker on offense. But to Sean's point, I mean they had opportunities, and again, Brady gave them opportunities to go, to take the lead and win, and would have forced me to a lot of crow tonight, and. But at the end of the day, I mean, they had it to him on a silver platter, and I mean, Aaron Rodgers and them couldn't do anything about it. So,
yeah.
And it's like in basketball when you got the hot shooter on the court, that's who you get the ball to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening for Green Bay with Adams, and he gave Adams several shots, and the ball was in his hands, and just like he couldn't close them. And they didn't make the adjustments that they needed to make on offense. And again, there were 2 touchdowns missed because Aaron Rodgers didn't want to go through the green grass and run those 7 yards into the end zone. It was horrible to watch. And then to see the press conference afterwards, nephew, do you think that this is it for Aaron Rodgers? That look of disgust on his face, say that he's done?
You just don't. I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP this season. I don't see it. I don't feel like there's another team that has one of the best offensive lines in football. You have a guy like Devontae Adams on that squad, and so I just don't feel like there's another team that's.
I think the 49ers. I'd say the 49ers because they have the backs. They do have some receivers, and they got a hell of a defense. They just got hit with injuries this year. But
then you gotta go. But then on top of that, you gotta go to another team and then redo the whole chemistry thing over again. And then furthermore,
for Brady,
that's good late in your career. I mean,
it is, but then on the flip side of that, you gotta look at Green Bay, and it's like, do you want to give up just let an MVP walk? I don't think that makes.
Well, you did draft his replacement last year instead of drafting him a wide receiver.
You're in
the AFC Championship game, and then you got to go start over because there's no. The guy could be a flop. Yeah. You just don't know. I don't.
Okay.
That's the same chance. That's the same chance they took on Aaron Rodgers after Brett Favre. Like they're not.
I was going to say with that logic. Yeah. With that logic, you have a future Hall of Fame quarterback who's going to possibly be the league MVP this year, who is in the championship game and looks like hot garbage, and you have drafted his replacement. So it doesn't matter if you're going to get to that point and not get the Lombardi trophy. So you're still where you started in the first place. So why not start over? And if Aaron Rodgers goes to another team, similar to like Tom Brady did after playing 20 years in the league, it's not like you're starting from scratch because those guys have 20 freaking years of film that they can watch, so they know what you can do. They know who you are. And those teams are going to be drawn up around the quarterback that you are. So it's easier for the older quarterback to start someplace else than for Watson to just go somewhere.
And it definitely is a little easier because you look how, like, I personally believe that Tom Brady had a couple of games in preseason and really was afforded the chance to get OTAs and a lot of the offseason that he didn't get this year. I definitely think they would be a better team offensively. And you look at you look at the deficiencies that is, but if Aaron Rodgers, if we use this 49ers scenario, I think he definitely blends in well. And if Shanahan's still there, I believe, he's still there, so that he has an offensive scheme that'll work. It worked in Atlanta. And especially with Matt Ryan, and you look at, Matt Ryan, I don't know who believes Matt Ryan is on the same tier as Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going to say he's not. Yeah, so, but in that, like, you give people with these coaches with these offensive schemes, the right pieces, things can work. And, you look at Eric Bieniemy, you put these right pieces around him in an offense that is progressive. And not just three yards in a cloud of dust, you can make things happen, and we've seen it.
but you got to remember that San Francisco does not have the weapons that ready-made weapons that Tom Brady has when he went to.
Of course, but
it's gonna be a whole different ball game. It's not gonna be, you can't even compare those weapons to what is out there in San Francisco, because in Tampa Bay they got legit receivers, like all.
No, they yes, yeah. I give you that
all year, but
if you want to go back to that beginning of the season, I said without any off season, it's going to be a heck of a season for Tom Brady there. And I've said he doesn't have. One of my main reasons he doesn't have the same offensive line. That's a totally new offensive line down there in Tampa Bay, and they don't have any chemistry either. So with all these chemistry issues, and then Tom Brady not being the same player that he was in New England, something had to give, and that's why I felt like New Orleans was a better squad.
But the flip side of that was we saw what he did, and he took a team to the wild card game with the type of talent that he had, which really he didn't have any talent outside of Julian Edelman and AB for one game. My whole ordeal was, okay, he picked this team, but he picked a team that had 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, 2 Pro Bowl tight ends. You had a rookie running back. You had a defense that had names. You had Dominic Sue coming to the team. I mean, you also had Shaq Bear. I mean, they had ballers on both sides of the ball.
They definitely built the team.
They already had the team there. The problem was you had a quarterback last year that threw 30 interceptions. They were 7-9 already. You had a quarterback that had 35 turnovers. Tom Brady comes in, cuts those turnovers down. You don't put the defense in harm's way. Now you got a few more wins. Those additional wins put you in the playoff. Never said they were going to win the division, but you get in the playoffs. Now, now it's just a one game
Things
winner
change.
take all. And
Yeah.
so I know my whole thing is Tom Brady throughout the season will gradually be able to coalesce, because everybody's going to refer to him because he's got the 20 years. He's got the 9 Super Bowl experiences that they don't have. So they're going to listen to what he has to say. You get to the playoffs, Tom Brady's beating you up here. Now, and everybody talked about he didn't have the talent or his arm. He threw for almost 5,000 yards in that Bruce Arians system. So Tom Brady is a GOAT for just for a lot of reasons.
I agree. I never said that. But the thing about it is, no one could have predicted the Drew Brees injury. Nobody predicted that. Alvin Kamara.
But Steve, if you suit up and you out there playing, people expect you to be 100%.
We've got to get back on track. We've got to get back on track because we got to talk about the Super Bowl. So now, as we're leading up to 2 weeks from now, going to Super Bowl 55, everyone's talking about the Chiefs beating the Buccaneers early in the season, but it's a different Buccaneers team that they will see
totally different
in 2 weeks. So we'll talk about that and what's going on and what's happening and how this has become a dream for the NFL thanks to Aaron Rodgers. This is their dream scenario. So we're going to take our first break and we'll be back in just a little bit. It's the Red Hour. And we're back. Can everybody hear me? Okay, there we go. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so we're back. It's the Red Hour. It's the Chiefs rolled to 55. The running back tour continues. They made it to Tampa Bay, and this could be the dream scenario for the NFL, as it could be a passing of the torch from the GOAT to the kid. That's a baby goat there. It's going to be a pretty good Super Bowl, I would think. The Chiefs winning back-to-back AFC Championships, keeping the Lamar Hunt Trophy here at home for the second year in a row. This will be Brady's 10th Super Bowl appearance, and this will be the first time that a team playing in the Super Bowl is actually hosting the Super Bowl in their home stadium. My question to you, Darren, is will that make any difference in this game?
No, not at all. The Chiefs beat them the first time around. I predicted this matchup. I think I'm the only one that predicted this matchup, but I predict that the Chiefs will win this game. Whether or not oh, I'm sorry, what? That I was right? Yeah, we're wrong. No problem. No, but at the end of the day, I think Tampa Bay is playing much better than the last time, because their last loss came to the Kansas City Chiefs. For Kansas, for Tampa Bay, they can't afford Tom Brady to have 3 turnovers. If he has 3 turnovers in a game, that's the ball game. Kansas City's going to capitalize. Patrick Mahomes is going to turn those into points, and it'll be a long night for Bucs fans.
Now, everyone is saying that this is not the same Bucs team that the Chiefs saw early in the year. We're talking about a game where in the second quarter, Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards in that game. Q, will this game resemble anything like that as far as the Chiefs' offense is concerned?
It could, and I think the Chiefs are going to get a little more cocky this game, especially in the play calling. I think it's going to get a little bit more aggressive. I think they're going to try to make a point pretty early in the game, especially to get out on top. and to really put the onus on Tom Brady to show his greatness. But I don't know. I think we have a better game this year than last year. For some reason, I feel like Tampa Bay's defense can hold up a little better, and especially at the line of scrimmage and putting pressure on Patrick. But Patrick's toe will be fine by then. His concussion will be cleared up probably in the next couple of days. So he
I hear a note of sarcasm.
I mean, if you guys want to overlook his that knee wobble that happened, like, we can do that. But no, by the Super, it probably takes about 90 seconds to choke somebody to get to that level, and that play wasn't longer than 6 seconds. But anyways, he'll be healthy, and I think they'll be at their fullest potential, especially on offense. I don't know if they key on Tyreek like that, but I think they should. I think they should make that statement very early, and make some very historic plays. And I think that's what they want to do. I think they've been saving saving all of their plays, their highlight reel type of plays. I think they've been saving all of that for the Super Bowl.
If Patrick wasn't healthy yesterday, then I have no idea what he's going to be 2 weeks from now if he wasn't healthy yesterday. Obviously, look, I would tell you the biggest key is Tampa Bay is not going to single Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill is not going to have 200 plus yards.
Hey, Darren, I gave you your chance. Let me get back to you.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to educate some people too. I'm trying to educate.
I get you. We'll get back to that in just a second. I'm just going square to square now, and we're gonna go offense and defense. We'll get back to you. Hold on, nephew. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites in this game, and this is their second time going to Raymond James Stadium this year. We've got healthy weapons. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back. Sammy Watkins should be back. And then you've got your Tyreek Hill. You've got your Travis Kelce, who have been breaking records with Patrick Mahomes all season long. Now, they're saying that this game could be a definite shootout and that they can definitely go blow for blow score-wise. But do you think that it'll come down to what it did last time where the last man standing with the ball, or do you think that whoever's up first keeps that upper hand?
I think whoever makes whoever's up first, but not only that, it's the turnovers. Whoever makes the least amount of turnovers is going to win the game. If the Chiefs' offensive line can play how they played yesterday, even with Eric Fisher going down with a torn Achilles, I really believe that the Chiefs will have the edge in this game. I mean, if you look at them on paper, you can kind of the offenses kind of mirror, right? But the defenses, I feel like the Chiefs their defense is playing at a level right now where they feel like they can guard anybody. They feel like they can shut anybody out. But if this offensive line, I think that's going to be the key for this game. If the offensive line can play like they played, where Patrick really didn't have to get out of the pocket, the offensive line had got a lot of push up front, and that really benefited the Chiefs in this last game. But they got to run the ball a little bit better too. I mean, 100 yards, rushing. Even though when you look on the NFC side, the Tampa Bay really had about the same amount of yards rushing, but I feel like they need to have a little bit better of a rushing attack in this game.
Now, Darren, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if it's the team with the most turnovers that loses. I mean, say the Chiefs have 4 turnovers to 2. You telling me that they can't come back from a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left? Like,
I would Tom Brady.
I wouldn't say all that. I mean, I like your
2018 Tom Brady.
Come on, Q. You called him the GOAT.
I can call him the GOAT, but again, this is a team sport, and also the defense has to stop Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know if they stop him in that crucial moment, and especially with Eric Bieniemy calling the plays.
Maybe you ain't paid attention to what Tom Bowles
did the master at watching the clock, but yesterday they got an offensive penalty because Tom Brady wasn't watching the clock, and that could be a thing with Tom Brady because he's too focused on everything else with playing this Kansas City Chiefs squad that he's going to make some slip up. It's going to happen because I think, like you said, with the little brothers keeping up with the older brothers, I think Tom Brady has a lot on the line playing this Kansas City Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes, and he actually does have something to prove with this game in Super Bowl 55.
And I think that's going to be the difference too, because Steve had mentioned like there was some points in the game where he really didn't have to go deep and he didn't have to make these certain throws. He could kind of check down and really methodically go down the field. But again, Tom Brady, I think he has something to prove. And it's the little brother now that is the guy that's the hot guy at the moment. He's the best quarterback in the league right now. And Tom Brady, if this is his retirement year or if he plays another couple of years, this is the time that he shows that he is the GOAT. And I think that I don't know if that pressure, if he lives up to that pressure with a team that he's not fully in tune with chemistry wise.
All right, Darren. So defensively, these two teams look drastically different. Does Tampa Bay have the defense to be able to stop an offense that has multiple weapons? Because you've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Travis Kelce, you've got Sammy Watkins who's coming back, you've got McCole Hardman, you've got a quarterback who hates to stay in the pocket. So if they rush this man, he's going to step back, and the Mahomes magic is going to embarrass some corners out there. Does the defense at Tampa Bay stand up to everything that this Kansas City offense has to offer?
Well, if we're going to be honest, no defense can stop Patrick. But what they can do is that they can get pressure on Patrick and to force him to make mistakes and perhaps get to him. Yesterday they had 5 sacks. Shaq Barrett had 3. John Pierre-Paul had 2. So I mean they have 5 sacks amongst 2 players, and they get their pressure from the outside, something that the Chiefs haven't really seen with from Frank and Chris Jones lately until yesterday late in the ball game. So they have the weaponry. Now, whether or not their 2 safeties are back, I believe over the next 2 weeks they should be healthy enough to come back to where, again, they are not going to do the same game plan that they did in the opening quarter against the Chiefs. Because if you remember, Kansas City jumped out to the early 17-0 lead. They scored 10 more points, but then defensively, once they hit Patrick and they forced that fumble, that's where the game kind of turned around for them, where they kind of got back into the ball game. If they can get to Patrick early or at least force him to make a mistake. Again, the key is going to be forcing Patrick to make a mistake that the Bucs can turn around and capitalize on. Otherwise, if they come back and get 3 and out, then it was just it's the equation of a punt. So here's
the problem with that theory. A little known stat that was reported yesterday from hours of watching post game analysis is that there's no other quarterback in the NFL who is more proficient under pressure than Patrick Mahomes. He makes very few mistakes when they get to him.
No, but that's why I said that if you force him to make a mistake,
you can't rely on that.
Well, otherwise, then why play the game? I mean, you can't play off of him because if you blitz him, he's got a 97% passer rating if you blitz him. But again, he has to feel some kind of pressure. You have to hit him. You got to get to him somehow, some way. Now, maybe you disguise it. I don't know. Maybe you double Kelce, or maybe you double Tyreek and you take your chances with Kelce. But whatever the case may be, somebody has to go out there and try to get pressure and to try to, because if you don't get pressure on him, well then he's got all day to throw on you. So I mean, so you'd be damned if you.
Here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes is night and day from when you look at 2019. I would say 2018, where Bill Belichick was able to disguise so many things, and Patrick was like, "Well, I just didn't know, where they were coming from." He threw some exotic blitzes at him, and I feel like he's watched.
That's how they shut down. See, because you were there with me. That's how they shut down Kelce and Tyreek.
Yeah,
and
but that's
Watkins had to come up.
Yeah, but McCole Hardman, he wasn't.
Well, McCole wasn't here in 2018.
Yeah, and then you look at it. Byron Pringle has shown some promise. Like he's been a guy that when you throw the ball to him, he's gonna catch it. He's a big physical receiver, and he has to be accounted for, by defenses. So if you want to look, good luck if you want to try to double Tyreek Hill. You still have Kelce that's going to run around the middle. Then Mecole Hardman, you saw, even though he, like you said earlier in the game, the team picked him up because of that, that chemistry and that bond that they have, and he was still able to be successful, late in the ball game. So I mean, it's good luck if you want to feel like you're going to double Tyreek Hill, and they're going to figure out, which is a good thing with Andy Reid. They figure out different ways to get him the ball, which is why I said you couldn't compare, Tyreek to Stephon Diggs, because Tyreek can get a handoff in the backfield and then go for 20, 30 yards.
And this guy, when you apply pressure to him, we know that he tells his receivers, don't stop running, don't stop moving.
Yeah.
If you drift off and you see something happening, come back to me. And then you got your Byron Pringles and your Sammy Watkins who drift off in the secondary and come back. And Patrick Mahomes, under pressure, will find a way, if it's just a small shovel pass or some under the arm.
Something crazy.
I mean, he gets the ball to these guys, and he's done it time and time again. And that's why that little known stat that was brought up yesterday is that when this guy is under pressure, he is one of the most prolific quarterbacks in NFL history. It's absolutely sick to watch, because who can defend that?
No, but to that point, like a factor that helps him is just how dominant Tyreek is just with his speed. And we could talk about his speed being all day, but he's still sure-handed. Like we don't see him drop the ball much. We don't see him out of the play much. Like he's normally somewhere around the ball. And just having those type of instincts, to have somebody that sure-handed, you could compare it to like when Ben Roethlisberger had Antonio Brown. Like that's your go-to guy.
But let's also remember, obviously in the first quarter, Tyreek exploded for 200+ yards, but after they made the adjustments, he wasn't that much of a factor the rest of the game. I think he may have only had like 50 or 67 yards the last three quarters. So they made the adjustments.
And the damage was done.
Yeah, the damage.
No, but again, like I said, they singled him in the first quarter. They're not going to make that same mistake in the second in this rematch. So.
And Todd, I think Todd Bowles will be able to come up with a pretty decent scheme that'll keep them under the 40 point the 40 point goal that they have to win each week. But
what scenario could you possibly draw up to where the Chiefs won't be successful? I mean, if you play where you don't get beat up.
So in my eyes, I look at, again, I think I made the comparison either on this show or the W show, but I look at the Chiefs like almost like the NBA, like you look at the Warriors, and when the Cavs beat them that year, they really played bully ball with them and stayed in their chest, like really stayed in their face. But the problem is with the Chiefs, again, the superior speed of Tyreek, like and the size and the strength of Travis Kelce, but then also his speed as well. It's really tough to play bully ball on these guys because these guys aren't small. Like these guys aren't just pushovers. Like everybody's not built like Byron Pringle and Mecole, where they're smaller in stature, but I don't know it, because I think that's the only way. And if you execute that right, then yes, it happens. And I think we saw flashes of that early in the Raiders game, but still the Raiders weren't able to do that the whole game. And that becomes a thing too. You can't full court press the whole game.
And I heard, you guys remember Dwight Freeney. I heard him talk earlier today, talk about what he used to do when he was playing defense and going after quarterbacks, and what guys aren't doing, when they're looking at Patrick Mahomes and trying to go after Patrick, because you see Patrick, step to the side and guys are still trying to arm tackle him, and he's still able to create a throwing motion and complete a pass. And Dwight was like, man, you got to know what kill you're trying to. You got to know who you're going at, and that these guys aren't doing their homework when you know what Patrick's strengths are and what his weaknesses are. And so,
and the problem is you're going after Patrick's legs instead of his arm when you're trying to tackle him. If you go after his arm, you might have a chance to force him in front of the ball. Again, the best way, the only way that you're going to beat Kansas City in this game is you got to force them into turnovers, and you got to force them to get, to get pressure where you're hitting Patrick, where you're getting him 3rd and 27 or something like that, like they did in Miami. I mean, otherwise, again, you can say, well, he's great under pressure. Well, I mean, we're gonna have to see when they bring that pressure, because again, when they brought the pressure in the second quarter, that's when they forced Patrick into a turnover where he fumbled the ball, and then they kind of brought them back into the game. Now, granted, they were already up 17-0, so they were able to maintain that lead. But if they make those adjustments at the beginning of the game to where they're not sacrificing their corner, going single high against Tyreek Hill, well, you got to do. I mean, it's a different ball game all the way around.
I just don't think this team can, even though they've done it, they've showed it in every game, every playoff game except the Cleveland Browns. That's the only outlier where they didn't start from behind, right? They've each game they've started from behind, and I think that's where they were at their best. But you can't do that with Tom Brady. I just don't think that you can.
What I keep trying to remind y'all, because I know y'all had the Saints beating the Bucks, and I'm like, hey, watch out! This is how the defense. Then you had the Packers beating the Bucks. Don't underestimate this defense, man. I mean, they surprised y'all these last two games. Didn't surprise me, but they surprised y'all these last two games. They can, Todd, look, just like we talk about giving Andy 2 weeks to devise a plan, an offense. They got 2 weeks to put that defense together against Patrick. So don't make it seem like Tampa Bay's gonna come out there and just lay down and give Patrick 35 points. Because
we know they're not, but we're saying this team is capable, and he's shown us that even if he just gives you enough to win the game by 3 or 6 points, he's done that all season long. Now, here's my next question before we begin to wrap up the show. Okafor, Passanio, Clark, what do these guys have to do in 2 weeks to make a defensive stand against these Bucks to seal the game on that side?
Well, you know what I say, Steve. You got to win the line of scrimmage. You got to do what you did yesterday against Buffalo, because Tom Brady has been well protected during the playoffs by this offensive line. I don't know how many sacks I don't know if he got sacked at all. I think he got sacked maybe once. I don't know how many sacks he got yesterday, but against the Saints, against Cam Jordan and all them, he was only sacked one time against Chase Young. He was only sacked one time. So if those players can't get to a 43-year-old old ass man, it could be a long night for them.
No, they're running around like a younger quarterback. That's what I'm saying. And Tom gets frustrated. So
and Tom, because Tom is one of those quarterbacks where he has to have a clean pocket, and
he don't like to get hit.
Well, he doesn't like to get hit, but he also doesn't like hit traffic around his feet. And so when you get a quarterback like that, yes, they do get flustered easily. But yeah, if they could just be disruptive enough to really kind of be, have his lineman's feet just close to his at all, I think it'll throw him off of his game. And then you look at these opportune moments where they start getting these tip picks. So
yeah, he was sacked one time yesterday.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So he's been he's been well protected, and so now the one thing I don't want to see, I don't want to see Frank Clark doing this talking in the press conference, and
at
then
all.
And then
he didn't say that. It was one thing we talked about was that Frank Clark hadn't. The guy tried to get him to say something yesterday. He was like, "I see
that." So yeah. But to Frank Clark's credit, again, he was released from witness protection program and showed up in the fourth quarter last night again. But as Steve knows, I said, if we're not hearing those names being called early in the ball game to where they're getting after the quarterback, they're making pressure, they're collapsing the pocket, they're hitting the quarterback, they're sacking them, that's a problem. So again, the Bucks, they do have a good offensive line to where they've been able to protect Tom Brady. So for us, we got to get pressure on Tom Brady, got to be able to make him uncomfortable in that deal. And again, just like Patrick, you got to be able to get to him. If you hit Tom Brady, you can rattle him, and you can force him into throwing 3 interceptions like the Packers did yesterday. With
that was no personal on 2 of those. He was just giving them gifts.
Yeah.
I think he's getting some money from State Farm to try to get Aaron Rodgers to play Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what was going on.
I don't either, man. That's a good point.
And if anybody who is a McDonald's franchisor out there knows one, tell them that if we get a sack in this Super Bowl, Big Mac should be free.
But that'll put McDonald's out of business.
Big Mac should just be free for one day. Okay, Super Bowl 55 is happening at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay on the 7th of February. Tickets are already ridiculous. It's a limited number of seats anyway because the NFL has taken up about 7,500 seats to give away to frontline workers, and that's great. And the Chiefs have also given away tickets to frontline workers here in Kansas City, and I understand that Tampa Bay is going to do the same thing. I don't know if you guys have looked at ticket prices for this game, but the Upper Bowl already $20K.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find who in can. If y'all know, watching this show, you know somebody that's a frontline worker, holler at me. I need them tickets.
Yeah, but
It ain't about you, Steve.
But look how unnecessarily symbolic they're trying to be. Like, you're going to take frontline workers out of these hot COVID zones.
Let me stress: vaccinated frontline workers are receiving tickets.
Yeah.
It's vaccinated. Okay.
And literally, most of them are coming from Tampa because they're already there. So it's got. No. Tampa has the most because it's in Tampa. They're giving Tampa
500 tickets. The NFL did give away, and a lot of them are from the Florida area. But the Kansas City Chiefs are giving away tickets, and they're going to help them get down there and all that. Of course, they didn't give.
Yeah, because I think the Star reported that they're designating a certain amount of tickets for Kansas City frontline workers.
Read that
Either way, you got tickets, holler at me.
Ain't nobody reading that racist newspaper.
Oh, wow. Before we even get to the 7th of February and Super Bowl 55, there's still an unceremonial game. Well, it's not even a game coming up this weekend that the Pro Bowl is happening, and it's going to be a little different this year, a little weird, and we do have some representation there. So I just want to remind some folks out there that this weekend on ABC and Disney and a couple of other stations that they've got listed, that there will be a different
celebration, I think,
for you celebrating it, and it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be.
Different.
I'm interested. I'm really interested in all seriousness to see this NFL versus battle. You know, when the two guys they're battling with their own highlights. I think that'll be pretty dope.
That's no worse than Keisha Cole and Ashanti. So.
I'm sorry, I thought I saw Bernie and Mittens behind Joe Lombardi Trophy. Okay, so coming up, we have the Super Bowl. We have this big game. We have the GOAT versus the baby goat, the Billy Goat coming up. Let's go ahead and get these picks now.
Whoa. Hold on, man. We got a show next Monday. Why are we doing the picks today?
Why are we doing the show next week?
Because we're gonna be in Tampa, and that's the week that we do the predictions. Why would we wait?
You have a W show next week. We don't just because y'all going to Tampa don't mean that we. Whoa! No one spoke to my agent about that.
Yeah, no, because we took that Monday off last year too.
We did.
We did.
I'm sorry. Hey,
yeah.
You know, say so.
Aaron just wanted to mention that he was going to Tampa Bay. I don't know what that was about. I'm like,
it wasn't no secret, but okay. I mean, you know.
Before I was so rudely interrupted by Negro Damas,
because I was the only one that picked this match. Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out again, Sean. Thank you. Yeah. Hate it how you on, Steve.
Super Bowl 55, Quentin.
Oh, Steve.
Yes. That's what happens when you can't. Folks, that's what happens when you pick the Saints. Do that, yes.
Yeah. This is insane.
All right, who's pick?
I hate you guys. I hate to make this pick. But yeah, I can't go against the Chiefs right now. I'm not going against. In the year of 2021. I am not going against a black quarterback for one. But no, I don't think. I think it's a good game, but I think it's time for Tom Brady to pass the baton. And if it's going to be passed to anybody, I would definitely love for it to be Patrick Mahomes. Even though I would rather it be, my guy, Mr. Jalen. But he's got time to prove himself.
There's no way you just put name in there. No way.
I had to. would I not be an Eagles fan? Like you guys were inserting Alex Smith into conversations when Alex Smith was playing, and I'm sorry.
They were.
That was
Yeah.
So let's not. Yeah. So let's not because there was a lot of Alex Smith Tom Brady comparisons. Like so no.
That was that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction right now.
Why?
The year that Jalen Wentz wins a Super Bowl, DJQ will have no hair to part. Darren Smith,
that's cool.
what's going on with your pick for Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, since I was the only one on the show that picked the Chiefs versus Bucks, I will just effectively say that at the end of the day, I was correct about the Super Bowl matchup since last year. I got the Chiefs winning the game. It's going to be 41-38.
Hey, Steve, for the next show, can we have like a live counter for each time he reminds us this? Because we're like on
because you're going to get it for the
We're
next
gonna have a
14
drinking game.
days.
We're on like
Yes.
13 and 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
In
I'm
15
going
minutes.
to replace this bottle with a bottle of really good tequila, and every time that he mentions something for the 5th or 6th time,
Oh yes.
we're taking one.
Between this show, I'm gonna call into the W810 ESPN Fox One. Trust me, everybody gonna know how many times I picked this matchup. Oh, I'm going 100 all these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll also remind you that you picked the Chiefs to go 19-0. Nephew,
End results still the same.
I'm going with the Chiefs. You know,
You're not going with the Saints?
Come on,
They're not there.
Kansas City Chiefs. That's as long as Patrick plays his game and he has a Patrick type day. You know, the running game as well, and like I said, the offensive line. The offensive line has to be. You know, they have to play solid. They have a couple weeks. I don't think Mitchell Schwartz will be back, so they have a couple weeks to get it together. And I really feel like Andy Reid, he's going to be Andy, and the Chiefs are going to do it.
All right, folks, that is it for the Red Hour. Kansas City Chiefs have made it. The Run It Back tour is almost complete. They're heading down to Raymond James Stadium on the 7th of February for Super Bowl 55. It is the GOAT, Tom Brady, versus the Billy Goat, Patrick Mahomes. Who will be the victor? We'll know on the 7th. On the 8th, we'll be right back here to talk about whatever happened. So once again, we'd like to thank all the frontline workers for all that you've done during this crazy, stupid year of COVID-19. Wow. There's nothing else to say. You guys are the true heroes. All right. So send a shout out to any frontline workers you know on all your social media platforms. And then you can join us back here on the 8th of February, Facebook Live and YouTube. It's the Red Hour. Peace to y'all. Good night.
Peace.
Send me them tickets.
The views and opinions expressed of the W Radio Show by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not represent the opinions of the W Show, 100.1 FM, 1 Kansas City Radio, Sideline Sports Talk, D Wall Street Foundation, or affiliates.